Hello and welcome to Professionally Speaking. For the last episode of this season, I'm your host Rahan Ali Muhammad. Just a quick one before we start. I would like to thank everyone for watching these last 7 episodes. I know this is going to be the finale, the eighth episode, and thank you very much to all the guests that have come on, taken their time. I really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into the last episode of the season. So, with me today, I have Radhika, who's a social media influencer, and something I feel that many people in my generation and a few generations just before me have wanted to get into. Good morning, Radhika. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Thank you so much for hosting me. Um, yeah, sorry, I can hear a little bit of echo.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Is my audio okay?
So, yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, great.
So, Radhika is a social media influencer. I'm sure you've probably seen her on Instagram or TikTok. A lawyer by profession. So she makes videos about Kenya, and I mean, I've watched a few of her videos, really interesting. So do check out on Instagram. It's at Radhika X Kaur, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
Radhika, can you give us an introduction about yourself? Why did you get into social media influencing?
Why? I don't think there was a reason why particularly. I think I started posting online in 2017-ish, where influencers were just starting to blow up. There were a lot of YouTube influencers, a little bit of Instagram influencers, and almost no TikTok influencers. So it kind of just happened by accident. I started posting on TikTok in December 2019. And I got lucky because no one was on TikTok at that time, and I kind of just got there before anyone else, and then kind of not blew up, but slowly but surely grew an audience.
So I want to move into, how long did it take for it to sort of start up? Because I mean, I know, getting content and recording it and editing it does take a while, and of course, growing that fan base does take a while. So how long roughly could you say it took to become a social media influencer?
How long did it take? So I think I started at 0 followers in December 2019, and now it is what? Oh, it's August 2023, and I have 100,000 followers, or I actually have 99,000 followers. So it's taken ages. I mean, it's like 3 to 4 years to grow this big. But I think in the start, it was quite quick. So I think I hit 40K within the first 4 or 5 months. But then after that, it was really slow. I also, I got busy. I started my law career. I focused more on school than on social media. So my growth on social media really kind of slowed down. Yeah, but
So,
then I think halfway through my social media career, I also started a radio job. So I was on radio for a bit. So I think that also helped kind of bolster my social media presence.
interesting. Did you maybe, I mean, on the last couple of episodes that people have seen that, we went into the education. Do you need maybe, a degree or something to get into, becoming a social media influencer?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So, as in the couple of episodes before, we've talked about education and all. Do you need any, as per se, a degree in, social media to become a social media influencer? Or can anyone become a social media influencer?
Okay, you obviously don't need an education to become a social media influencer, but it's a tough job because one day you're it and the next day you're not. So while it's a great job to have and it doesn't have any barriers to entry, your social media fame also doesn't last forever, right? So that's why I just want to say that first. That's why I decided to focus on my legal career as opposed to social media, because I know it has longevity and people can be lawyers for 25, 30, 40 years. More than that, even 50, 60 years, you have people who are lawyers, but you will rarely ever see someone who is celebrated online or in traditional media who's past that 20-year mark. I mean, that's even an achievement in itself. But usually, you're hot, you're the hot news for probably 5 or 6 years, and then, you know, there's someone else. There's someone younger, maybe who looks better than you, who does it better than you. So yeah.
So why did you get into social media? I mean, you could have done, there's so much, out there. And why take on a hobby as social media?
So I've always been really inclined towards social media, sharing online, making things, making videos, whether it's for myself, you know, just filming, taking photos. It was always just a hobby, and I never set out to make it an income source. I was just posting. So it kind of happened by mistake. But yeah, I was always creatively inclined. So that's kind of where it started. Yeah. And then I think I also found a good niche because I do Kenyan content specifically. Then there's not too much competition in that field. So I do Kenyan content, and then I'm also of Indian ethnicity. So I had a really good kind of niche where I fit in really well, and people were interested. So that obviously externally motivated me to keep on going.
So this is just a quick one for the viewers. If you watch the episode with Ali Jawad, when he started electric tuk-tuks, he also focused on a niche. So there's someone that we got on earlier in the season where he started an electric tuk-tuk business in Mombasa, where he realized that
Wow.
there's a niche where we're going electric, so why not create an electric tuk-tuk?
No, that's amazing, and it's always about kind of finding that niche. It's also good to generally be good at a wide range of things, but that niche really helps you, whether it's on social media, in the tuk-tuk business, even in my legal career. You see people who kind of niche down, do really well.
Yeah. So are you happy being a social media influencer? I know there's a lot of controversy, with some people, posting things. So are you happy, with what you're doing as a social media influencer?
It's difficult because I think I was happier when I was a bit younger. When I was, 18, 19, 20, you don't have any consequences. You post online, it's all fun and games. I mean, your peers and your classmates might also feel like that, like there's no consequences to posting on social media and it's all fun, it's all a joke. But I think of recent, as I've started my professional career, I see that there are a lot of consequences to what you post online. So whether it's, your boss seeing it or a client seeing it or a competitor seeing it, they judge you for what you post online. So like, for example, this podcast, right? I have braids in and it's chilled. I don't look like a lawyer, and if someone maybe who works with me or who wants me to work for them as a lawyer, if they saw this, they start to question, oh, is she actually a serious person? Can she actually be a lawyer? So I think in the recent past, no, I haven't been happy with it because I'm struggling with finding a balance of having a really good professional outlook while still being myself and having fun on social media. But right now, I think there's a lot of friction between those two things.
Yeah, I think many social media influencers will say that, whatever, especially food content creators, they always have to, look professional, and I mean, I think that's also led to, some people maybe, faking reviews just so there's that following base, there's that fan base that they get. So, I mean, do you think that, being a social media influencer, is it a career that can be, can sustain, your living, your day-to-day living?
Hmm. It can, only if obviously in the start it's going to be difficult because you're not going to have that following, you don't have the contacts. I would say that yes, it has supplemented my income to a point where I didn't think it could. But because I focus on my legal career, I don't invest enough time into my social media for it to actually bear fruit. So as of now, it is not my main source of income. But I think if anyone worked hard enough, it could be. But then, it's not a stable source of income. It's a marketing job. So those are all things you need to keep in mind. We also live in Kenya, which has, if you're on YouTube, it has a really low CPM. So if you're making Kenyan content for Kenyan viewers, you're not earning as much as, a US YouTuber. So there are a lot of factors to consider. It's probably not the most stable source of income, but it is definitely possible for it to be an income source.
So, I want to go into, on average, as maybe a Kenyan influencer, how much do you make on average?
I don't think I can answer that, right? Because I don't have a campaign every month, for example. But
Yeah,
maybe I can give you like a range, right? And
yeah.
then if someone wants to do the math, they can kind of figure it out. So I think the lowest I would charge for a post would be like for a small business. If a small business approached me, I would charge them like 1,000 shillings for a story post, which takes you, probably 5 or 6 seconds. So when you look at it per hour basis, it's quite high. So that's the lowest I charge. And then for videos, it can go up to like 30,000 for a video. But then it depends. You can be really lucky and get a brand that's like, hey, I want 3 videos a month. And then, you're balling for that month. But then there'll be 6 months where you only get one person who wants one story. So yeah, I'm not balling from it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of variation in, how it works, and I think that's with, mainly every business, mainly when starting out, of course. Like, you look at businesses when they start out, it's not like, every month they are, selling the top products and all.
Yeah, but I mean, there are certain influencers in Kenya who are influencers full time, and I know they do make a good living.
Okay, so whoever would like to, become an influencer, just spend a lot of time. As we can tell, the money looks like it's really good.
You can never know, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
never
also
know
true.
the what's in the background.
That's also true. So, I mean, I want to move on to, the future, AI. How do you use AI, What's your view on it?
For social media,
So, yeah, social media, day-to-day
um,
use, what's your view on it?
I don't really use it as a everyday tool. I use it sometimes if I want a caption or for ideas. I don't use it to make my content. I use it mostly to trigger my brain to be like, oh wait, this is a good thing to think about. So it's more like when you have creative block, it can really trigger you. I used it quite a bit when I was on radio because on radio we had to think of topics every day, and the human mind can't really do that. So I used to use it then quite a lot, or I used to use it for captions for social media quite a lot. But yeah, I don't think I use it every day because I like that human touch, which AI can't give you. And that's what really helps build an audience, right? Having that human touch. AI is also not very Kenyanized, so it doesn't have context of certain Kenya things. So, for example, I had asked it one day. I used to have a series where I used to talk about like facts about Kenya, like historical facts. So I asked Chat GPT to give me some, and a lot of them were wrong. So it said that Kenya is one of the only countries to have a purple street light, like the traffic lights. And I was thinking, we definitely don't have a purple light on the traffic light. We barely even have working traffic lights. So ChatGPT totally made this up. So yeah, I don't really use it.
So, do you think, as someone, that's coming up as a social media influencer, do you think they could use, ChatGPT and other AI tools, to use or to make, videos and posts on Instagram and TikTok?
No, I think to be a social media like influencer or, build an audience, you either have it in you or you don't. And I don't think AI could help you as much. I'm sure there's some outliers who AI is doing wonders for them, but I think for majority of people, you either have it or you don't.
So, okay, well, I mean, I've seen, some like places where, AI will make the video for you, like the script for you, it'll do the voiceover for you, do basically everything for you. All you need to do is just, press it and upload it on Instagram and, you have views. Do you think that could maybe work?
No, it's boring, right? AI AI is pulling generic information, right? And it's using generic stock footage. Um, your brain is likely to just scroll past that. Also, our brains are going to start noticing what's AI generated, right? And is going to start, you know, scrolling past it and filtering it out. The only place I would say I would think AI would really help is maybe like AI generated images. So some people may not be comfortable talking on social media. So they might want to have an AI voice or they might want to have an AI video because they're not comfortable with their face online. That's something I also contemplated because I was like, I don't feel comfortable with my clients, my coworkers seeing my social media things. So maybe I should do an AI generated image. I haven't got there yet, but that could be one of the ways you could implement AI.
Okay, so I want to ask about, the career as a social media influencer. Is it competitive to get into, like, I mean, right now you're at almost around 100,000 followers. Is it competitive?
It's super competitive. It's extremely competitive because you're competing with number one, your age group, people in Kenya, and people abroad, right? So when you're starting a traditional career, so for example, I'm a lawyer, I'm only competing with people in Kenya who have studied law. And that's a lot of people. It's like 2,000 people a year. But then when you're on the internet and you're a social media influencer, there's no boundary of the internet. You are competing with huge YouTube stars and huge TikTok stars in America for that few seconds of time that people have on their phone. So yeah, the competition is insane, and also the people who dedicate more time obviously have more views. The people who are willing to do certain things, whether it's just to win in the short term or do controversial things, are likely to pass you in the short term. And if you're a more of a long term player, you obviously get you start comparing yourself. You don't do as well as them. You think, how do I compete with them as well? So for me, I know that I'm competing with people who are doing social media as their job and they post 3 videos a day. But I only post maybe 3 videos a month. So yeah, the competition is crazy. I think even right now I'm losing followers on TikTok instead of gaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite competitive. I mean, we watch videos almost every day. I mean, I myself, first thing when I do when I wake up is check Instagram, which I know many people are going to say that's not good, but
I mean, if it
yeah,
helps you
so
wake up, it helps you wake up. I do that too. But I think maybe it's important for you and your classmates to realize that no, what you see on social media is not a reflection of what life actually is. And because you're so young, it might seem glorious to become this social media influencer, but go for it. Do it in a respectful way, in a way that your future self will be proud of you, a way in which you're not embarrassed of it later on. Yeah, because I can imagine a lot of young people being pushed to do controversial things or say controversial things just to get the 5 minutes of clout.
yeah. So you're talking about, the career being competitive. Do you think that causes stress among, social media influencers?
It depends who you are, right? If your whole world is the external validation you get from the likes and comments and views, then yes, it can be stressful. But if you look further than that and you say, oh, this is like, for me, the way I view my social media, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm I'm in the red, I'm losing followers, but I love it and I'm still going to post whether I'm losing or gaining. I'm doing it because I like making the item or making the content, not really the external validation that comes from it. It can be stressful though. I will say that this personally affects me when you get a lot of hate. So I get a lot of racist messages because, my audience, not my audience, but maybe some people who come across my videos don't understand why I'm brown and I'm living in Africa. So I get a lot of like racist comments and things like that. That is extremely stressful.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, as the future sort of generation, we need to sort of cut out that racism or, those hurtful messages. That because, then again, it starts amongst problems within creators, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then, yeah, that's really stressful. It takes a toll on your mental health for sure when you're just being hated on, especially if it's something you can't change. Yeah.
So do you think, is there space for, more people to join into the career?
Yeah, there definitely is. It's harder, obviously, when it's a platform that is already existing. But I think on TikTok, yeah, for sure. There's always space. Maybe not on
Do you
Instagram.
think
I can't imagine doing there.
so? The final question for today's episode: what's one piece of advice you'd give someone thinking of becoming a social media influencer?
Ooh, I want to be careful because I feel like, you're very young and so are your classmates. So it's fun, but again, just, do it respectfully in a way that you are proud of the work you produce. And I would say do it because you like producing and not because you like the clout that comes with it. Because the clout comes and then it goes. It's unstable, right? And also, you can do it as a hobby. You don't have to be a social media influencer, right? If you like posting and you have 50 followers and you want to post as if you're an influencer and do reviews, just do it. You don't have to have this title of I am a social media influencer and I post reviews. You can do it on a small scale. You can do it as a hobby. It doesn't have to be a career. Like for me, it's not my career, right? It is my hobby whether I make money from it or not. So that's what I would say. It's not the be all end all if you are or if you aren't a social media influencer. And it looks great and it looks prestigious, but there are a lot more things you can do that are equally as prestigious.
All right, that concludes today's episode and our last episode of this season. I'd like to thank again Radhika for. I'd like to thank you for coming on, taking some time out of your day to do this.
Thank you so much for having me. And, I'm so glad that your school is doing something that's out of the box and doing this podcast thing. So, congratulations to your school. I'm sure your teacher is super dope for allowing you to do this. And thank you for having me. And sorry I was late.
No worries, no worries. And I would also like to thank everyone else that took time out of their day to help me make this come true. We will be having one last episode, which is going to be a marathon of all the episodes combined in one. So do look forward to that. Other than that, from me, that is out. Radhika, any last words?
See you later. And thank you for having me.
Alright, do make sure to check her out on Instagram and TikTok at Radhika X Kaur. Thank you so much for watching, and we're out.